On July 29th, 1897, a 4-year-old boy named Will Wood caught a horny toad in Eastland County, Texas. And by the way, a horny toad is actually a lizard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The boy's father, Eastland County Clerk Ernest E. Wood, decided to use the reptile to test the West Texas tradition. They say tradition, but I feel like it's like rumor, not tradition.
Okay.
Mhm.
Rumor that the creatures could survive for many years in hibernation. The horned lizard was placed in a cornerstone of the Eastland County Courthouse in Eastland, Texas, along with other capsule memorabilia, including a Bible and a bottle of alcohol.
They just put this living animal in a time capsule?
Yep, sealed it up. Put it in the bricks of this courthouse.
Okay.
Oh.
It was the 1890s. I don't know what to tell you.
It was high school,
All right.
guys.
Guys, it was
It was
the
high
90s.
school. Of course, you're going to do anal at a house party.
Of course.
We're high schoolers. Of course, we're going to try
Of course we're
anal
going to
at
do
a house
anal at a
party.
house party.
It's the 1890s. Of course, we're going to seal up a lizard in
A
a
horny toad.
courthouse.
It's
Okay.
the 1890s. Of course we're going to put a horny toad in our time capsule.
Okay.
Don't
30
ban TikTok, Congress.
Seriously, I will be so bored. Okay.
Yeah,
Way to set us back another 60 years.
seriously.
First, it's Roe v. Wade. Now
Yep.
it's TikTok.
Now it's TikTok.
First they come for the Roe v. Wade, then they come for the TikTok.
First, they came for the women, then they came for Gen
the
Z.
TikTok.
30 years later, during the Jazz Age, construction workers began to tear down the old courthouse, and town officials scheduled a public event to open the time capsule in mid-February of 1928.
Wake the toad.
An ambitious young newspaperman named Boyce House reported on
Boy's
the
house?
forthcoming
Whose
house.
house? Boy's house.
Boy's house.
Boys house.
Boy's house.
Boyce House. So Boyce House reported on the forthcoming ceremony in his articles for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. House particularly emphasized the mystery of the horned toad, which supposedly had been entombed in the capsule since 1897. So at that point, they were still like not entirely sure if that was just a legend or not.
Yeah.
As a result of Boyce House's sensationalist newspaper articles, a crowd of 1,500 spectators gathered in Eastland, Texas to witness the opening of the time capsule and to learn the fate of the horned toad.
Oh, shit.
See what life was like
Many-
before Netflix existed?
Yeah, I know.
You just
Before
go
TikTok.
sit
What
around
happen
and
if
watch
we get
watch
rid
a
of
lizard
TikTok?
come out of a wall or
There's a lot of lizard wall reveals. Get ready with me to go see if that lizard in the wall is still alive. She said to no one because TikTok was gone.
Oh, sad.
It's so
So-
sad. She said to her cats.
Have you ever seen Grey Gardens? She said to her cats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't get me started on that shit with you.
Many spectators had traveled more than 25 miles to be
Whoa.
present.
Wow.
I mean, they're probably on like fucking horseback, so.
It's a lot of miles.
And hundreds thronged around the makeshift fence that encircled the old courthouse. At exactly 4 o'clock on Saturday, February 18th, 1928, a live horned lizard was allegedly produced from within the time capsule in front of the overly excited audience. I feel like this is editorializing overly excited.
They're
They're
I mean, there's
appropriately
1,500 people
excited.
there.
It's a fucking
They're
gecko.
appropriately
Came out of a
excited.
wall.
And it's alive and it's been in there for like 30 years.
Yes,
Holy shit.
That's crazy.
like 30 and a half years. So Boyce House recalled the chaotic scene, writing, quote, "When the brick wall was pulled away from the cornerstone, the crowd rushed forward.
Went wild.
In its excitement, pressing so closely against a worker that he barely had room to ply his pick in order to break a layer of cement that was over the top of the stone.
They killed
Then
him.
he lifted a sheet of metal underlying the cement. After this covering was raised, disclosing the cavity, Reverend F.E. Singleton, pastor of the Eastland Methodist Church, who was standing beside the cornerstone, leveled a finger and said, "There's the frog." It's a fucking lizard.
By God, there it is, the horny toad.
All that lead up for "there's the frog."
There's the
There's,
frog.
I was
there's so
expecting,
much
like-
more. There's so much
okay,
more.
Okay. I'm like, there better be more to this
There's
speech.
so much more. Eugene Day, oilman, thrust his hand into the cavity and lifted out a flat, dust-covered toad, which he handed over to Reverend Mr. Singleton. The pastor handed the creature on to Judge Pritchard, who dangled it aloft by a hind leg so that all might see.
All
Suddenly-
the most important men in town had to make sure the toad is real and alive.
You don't even know. This gets
I
so
don't.
much more dramatic. Suddenly, the other hind leg twitched. The frog was alive. Within days, national newspaper chains reported the discovery of the entombed lizard on their front pages. The New York Times reported the events on its front page with the
My God.
declarative headline, "Toad alive after 31 years, sealed in Texas cornerstone." I have photos on the drive, which will be on the blog if you guys want to take a look at them. The Times article credulously reported, quote, "After the cornerstone was removed, the toad appeared lifeless for some time, but in a little while it opened its eyes. In about 20 minutes, it began to breathe. The mouth, however, appeared to have grown together.
Oh,
Oh,
Efforts
that's
will be made.
awful.
use it.
Efforts will Exactly. Efforts will be made to induce the toad to take food, and if necessary, the mouth will be opened by an operation. The toad is now on exhibition." So
Like people could go look at it.
here we get to the exhibition. Following these newspaper reports, zoologists and other scientists began a public debate over whether a Texas horned toad could survive for such an extended period of time without water, sunlight, or oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Raymond L.
Something's
Ditmars, curator of mammals and reptiles at the Bronx Zoo, declared the alleged survival of the entombed lizard in Eastland, Texas to be, quote, "utterly impossible." In contrast, preeminent naturalist William T. Hornaday, the curator for the New York Zoological Gardens, asserted that, quote, "the incident was possible," and gave an instance from his own experience in Ceylon, which was another word for Sri Lanka. Didn't talk about the other example, but apparently he had knowledge of this. I don't know.
Trust me.
I heard about it once.
Yeah.
Yep. Indifferent to this scientific debate, Eastland locals instead ascribed the horned toad's miraculous survival for 31 years to the presence of the Bible in the time capsule.
Oh God.
So they're saying
Shut
because
the fuck up.
because the
Get outta
lizard
here,
had a Bible in
Churchy.
there. Yeah.
He
Okay,
prayed
that's
every day and he survived
ish.
for
That's-
30 years.
No, he didn't. His
Oh, my blood of
fucking
Jesus.
mouth fused shut. He didn't
Yeah.
pray for shit.
You can pray
I wish that when they
internally.
took that horny toad out of that wall, that the guy would have bit his head off like Ozzy Osbourne. Now that would have been a story.
It's alive.
That would have been a story. Yeah. That would have been, yeah. I look
only-
into your eyes. Start singing Ozzy Osbourne song.
If only Ozzy Osbourne could have been available for this 1920s cornerstone reveal.
It would have been a lot more eventful, I'll tell you that.
It really would have.
It's pretty eventful. I'm not even halfway through this.
Oh,
Let's get it.
Jesus.
Due to the extensive media coverage, Ol' Rip, which is what they named the toad, like Rip Van Winkle, Ol' Rip
Oh.
became a national celebrity. The docile lizard was transported to Dallas, Texas for public exhibition by Will Wood, the same individual who purportedly found the specimen in the first place in 1897. After a public outcry by Eastland inhabitants and profit-hungry businessmen over the removal of the famous creature from their otherwise nondescript and insignificant town,
How dare you fill in the rat hole? That was all of our tourism.
basically, Wood returned Ol' Rip to Eastland. Dallas exhibitors promptly sued him for $6,000 for alleged breach of contract and today, that would be equivalent to $102,000.
It's a lot of fucking money.
It's a lot of money.
Jeez.
So after this incident, Ol' Rip went on a national tour, and 40,000 spectators viewed him at the Zoological Gardens in St. Louis, Missouri.
He's famous.
Later that same year in New York City, motion pictures were produced with Will Wood introducing Ol' Rip, and, quote, a bug catcher was paid 50 cents each for insects that the frog devoured to please the cameraman.
Oh my God.
It was a whole cottage industry around this horned toad. The peak of Ol' Rip's fame occurred in May 1928 when, during his national tour, the lizard was transported to Washington, D.C., where Texas Senator Earl Bradford Mayfield presented the specimen to President Coolidge.
Stop. This frog met the president?
Yes.
He
so
gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Holy shit.
if you don't know a lot about Calvin
Frogs?
Coolidge, his nickname was Silent Cal because he was just a quiet man.
She was super chill.
Yeah. So Coolidge, a bemused Coolidge purportedly declined to touch the horned toad and merely nudged it with his spectacles.
Ugh.
Oh,
So this
I
is
see.
Cool. Thanks for stopping by, I guess.
So
a
it's
newspaper
frog?
article.
So what is
Is a
it?
frog, a toad, or
It's
a lizard?
horny- yeah.
What do I do with this?
Or a miracle?
Why are you in my house? Who am
Is
I?
this it? Is this all it does? It just sits here?
First
Okay.
I have to
United
pardon
States
a
of what?
turkey. Now I have to touch a frog lizard.
Ugh.
So, according to the newspaper article, quote, President Coolidge asked numerous questions concerning his celebrated guest. He stroked the frog's back with his horn-rimmed glasses, and then President and Ol' Rip gazed steadily at each other for a full minute without a sound. Silent Cal had met his match.
This is fucking deeply unserious. I cannot believe.
This is what happens when we don't have TikTok.
For
A
real.
horned toad gets a national tour.
Goes viral, but on foot.
Yeah. As a consequence for the creature's immense fame, horned toads were sold as souvenirs at the 1928 Democratic National Convention in Houston for
Live
$2.
horned toads?
For $2.50, which in 2022 is the equivalent to $42.61.
Oh, wow.
Good
The
Lord.
ensuing mass capture and export of horned toads for such sales resulted in the genus's precipitous decline in West Texas.
Stop.
They went extinct in
They
West
They got
Texas.
overfarmed.
Everybody
They
wanted
did.
one just to look at it.
Yeah. According to Boyce House, our friend, so many horned toads were shipped out of West Texas that a Department of Agriculture bulletin foretold damage amounting to thousands of dollars if the export shipments did not stop, inasmuch as horned frogs preyed on insects that devour local crops. They're crucial to the ecosystem.
Yeah, you don't say.
Hmm.
But I want one.
Right?
But I want a flying squirrel.
But Daddy, I want it. That's a Willy Wonka. I wonder what that
sure is.
what that line was in that.
I want it now.
I would like to have a chocolate bar piece of candy, please.
But Daddy, I want to be trapped in this mirror forever.
With Mr. Nobody, the evil chocolate maker who lives in the wall.
It's all frogging. Or toading or lizarding. Soon after his national
Horny
tour,
toad.
Ol' Rip died of pneumonia on January 19th, 1929. It was the
He made
pneumonia
it all
that got
that
him.
way. They touted him
worked him
around
to
the
death.
fucking country.
They worked the
They
Yeah.
did.
They're like, get out
They
there, go do the
worked
thing.
his-
Go. He's like a circus bear.
Capitalism killed Old
Dance
Rip.
frog.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we'll get to the dancing
Stare
frog, too.
Ugh.
After Ol' Rip's death, the specimen was kept in a tiny satin-lined casket and displayed in the lobby of the new Eastland Courthouse. There's a picture of him in his little glass coffin.
I want to see him.
Thank God
Decades
for the
later,
internet, man.
Seriously.
Look at what we were.
decades. This is
Oh
so
my God. Look at him.
this is
Oh,
so fucking
Rip.
dumb, you guys. Decades later, in September 1961, Old Rip briefly disappeared from the museum exhibit and a ransom note demanding $10,000 for his return.
Oh my God.
After a citywide search, the specimen was recovered. A year later, in 1962, John Connolly visited the courthouse while running for governor of Texas for a publicity event. An impetuous Connolly lifted the embalmed creature by its hind leg, which abruptly detached.
Oh no!
He ripped
Leave
his
him
fucking leg off.
alone.
I know.
Don't
And
touch Old Rip. It's his eternal rest.
Well, he
Oh,
lived
Rip,
true to his
ripped.
name. Yeah.
He lived true
You
to
get
his name. I got it.
Did.
In 1972, Rip's body was stolen again. Soon after, the city of Eastland claimed they had somehow found the stolen specimen and returned the object to exhibition. However, museum visitors noted the recovered toad now inexplicably had 4 feet, while the original specimen only had 3 feet because of the earlier incident with John Connolly.
Mm-hmm.
So it was suddenly intact again. They didn't find they didn't find old Rip. They got a new one.
Yeah.
In 1976, an anonymous letter was sent to newspapers claiming the original 3-footed specimen was still in the thief's possession, and the city of Eastland had replaced the original specimen with a fake.
It's a
Angry
conspiracy
that
that runs all the way to the top.
I can't with this.
Angry that the city of Eastland was building its future around a dried-up horned frog, the letter writer offered to pay $5,000 to anyone who could prove that the toad in the courthouse was truly Old Rip. So,
Boy's house is in a basement with red strings on a wall, smoking cigarettes.
Yup.
It's like,
Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Sylvia.
it is Boy's house. I'm on to something.
I got boxes full of Pepe.
Okay, this is the weirdest part to me. This was his legacy. In 1955,
that's such a
Looney
fucking dramatic word to use.
Looney
Old Rip's
Tunes
legacy.
Looney Tunes writer Michael Maltese was inspired by the story of Old Rip to write an animated theatrical short entitled One Froggy Evening. In the cartoon, a construction worker demolishing a building finds an 1892 time capsule inside a cornerstone. The capsule contains a living frog, retroactively named Michigan J Frog, years later, which is able to sing songs such as Hello My Baby. So it's the Looney Tunes frog.
that
with
guy!
The WB? It's the WB frog
It's
as
the
well?
WB frog. That's based on Old Rip.
Get the hell
Yeah.
out of here.
No, I won't. Are you shook? Because
I
was.
am
I am
So
speechless.
shook.
Yeah.
Look at where things
that's-
come from. This frog is embedded into American culture somehow and I never knew.
And yet
Old
he's a
Rip.
lizard.
Right?
Yeah.
And yet he was never a frog.
But he is very regal.
Or
he
a
lived a
toad.
life. You know, he got, he a satin lined casket. So that makes the top hat and the cane. He was,
It's
met the
making
president.
sense.
He met
And
the
he was
president.
unearthed in the jazz age. So these Tin Pan Alley songs make sense.
Wow. The WB frog.
Yep.
I can't. It goes so deep.
It goes so deep.
Well, I sure hope you liked that clip. If you did like that clip, make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us a nice review, and joining us on Patreon for even more video content, audio content, salacious content all around. Come join us. Treat yourself.